What a banger month for PlayStation Plus again. So good job on that one, Sony. In this video here, we're going to be talking about all of the new PlayStation Plus games for the month of March 2021. 4 games, which is pretty damn sick. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the 4 games. I'm going to be telling you why you should care about these 4 games. We'll talk about the trophies for them as well. And then at the end of the video, I will give an overall review or a score of what I think of PlayStation Plus for the month of March 2021. I think we're going to do that going forward. Now, this wouldn't be a YouTube video unless I did this. You guys all knew this was coming. Remember, we've got a little subscribe button down below. I've been told actually by a few people that the subscribe button hasn't been working lately. A lot of people have found it's unsubscribing them randomly from the channel. So go down there and check it out. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel still. Go and click it. There's a good chance that you've accidentally been unsubscribed. So go ahead and do that as well. Also, before we kick off, let me know what you think of these games from PlayStation Plus. Let me know what you think of the lineup. I know a lot of people in my community tab, when I posted the picture of the Plus games, were really big fans of it. I had a few people complaining that they already owned some of these games. But overall, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Alright, so the TLDR version for people who don't want to stick through the rest of this video for however long it's going to be. There are 4 new games for PlayStation Plus for the month of March. They are pretty sick games. You've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, which came out in 2020. Fantastic game from 2020. Final Fantasy, you know what that is. You've got Farpoint coming for PlayStation VR. VR exclusive, mind you, so if you don't have a PlayStation VR headset, you won't be able to play this one, but it's still good to own. You've got Remnant from the Ashes, which is absolutely fantastic RPG game, which I rave on about all the time. I love this game, so good addition there. And then finally, you have a first-person puzzle game called Maquette, which is a brand new game that hasn't been released yet. It's coming to PS4 and PS5 this month as well, so the brand new title there, and that's the only PlayStation 5 game on the list. So TLDR version, for those of you who didn't want to watch, you can leave now, I suppose. But we are going to talk about the games and why they matter. I think we should start with the one that's most important. That's Final Fantasy VII. This is the biggest game for the month. This is the thing that's headlining everything for the month. And honestly, it is a big deal that this is a free title on PlayStation Plus. This is a PlayStation exclusive game that came out in 2020. It's a brand new game for all intents and purposes. It hasn't even been on the market for an entire year yet, and it's already given away for free to Plus users, which I think is pretty important to note because that doesn't happen very frequently with big AAA games like this. Interestingly, Sony only had a year's worth of exclusivity on Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it will be coming to other platforms, whether it be PC, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch potentially after that 1 year of exclusivity. Giving it away on Plus, I guess, as a last-ditch effort to get it out there to everybody, while it's still exclusive to PlayStation, is a pretty damn baller move, I would say. And Final Fantasy VII has a heritage with PlayStation as well, which makes it even cooler. A lot of people have noted, and this is important to note for all of you PS5 owners, that this version of Final Fantasy VII Remake can't be upgraded to the PlayStation 5 version. So during the State of Play, Square Enix actually announced that Final Fantasy VII Remake is getting a free upgrade to PS5. That's for anyone who already owns the game. But if you own the PlayStation Plus version that they're giving you this month in March, you won't get that free upgrade. It's not actually included. That won't be an option for you. You can still buy the DLC and play that. The free PS5 upgrade won't be an option. So it's worth noting. I don't think it's going to be a massive issue for a lot of people. I think the majority of people who wanted the free upgrade, who are going to be playing this on PS5, probably already own it, but there will be a small minority of people who obviously are going to be affected by this and are probably going to be upset as well. It's a great JRPG, by the way, guys. If you haven't played it, you haven't experienced it, and you own PlayStation Plus, absolutely try this one out. I always say make sure you add all the games to your library each month. Same goes this month. Make sure you add the games to your library because then you own them forever. Try this one out. I think it's really going to be worth your time, and it is a fantastic game. It's a really accessible JRPG and Final Fantasy game as well. I would say that it's one of the more accessible games in the series, which means that people who may not be super fans of JRPGs and Final Fantasy are still going to be able to get enjoyment out of this one. Excuse the noise, my neighbors are shouting. Okay, trophy-wise, for all you trophy hunters, it's an average mid-level platinum, I would say. It's not easy, it's not hard. It kind of sits somewhere in the middle there. It does require more than one playthrough, keep that in mind as well, and it's probably going to take you anywhere between the realm of sort of 70 to 80 hours to get the platinum trophy. A lot of this is down to having to play through the game through on hard mode, and also making sure you collect all the dresses, which are collectible, that are kind of hard to get in this game. I actually did make a trophy guide and roadmap for this game way back in the day. I think April 2020 I made a trophy guide for this game. It's probably kind of terrible now though, so I'm not sure if I want to recommend people going and checking it out, but I guess you can if you want to. If you go and do that, comment on it as well. Let me know you've gone and seen it and you've been exposed to some old, terrible Josh videos. Okay, in order of importance, I think Remnant from the Ashes is another really relevant game. This is a weird, I'm gonna call it an RPG, but it's essentially an action-adventure game. It's a kind of strange third-person shooter game mixed with, I guess, a bit of action adventure, maybe God of War, maybe Dark Souls and Bloodborne in there as well. And it's kind of combining these futuristic elements and then these fantasy elements to create this really strangely unique game that's a third-person Dark Souls shooter hack and slash. Very, very weird, and a gameplay combination that I probably didn't ever think would really work that well, but after playing the game, I'm addicted to it. It's a fantastic game. I played this back when it came out, I think in 2019. It's a fantastic one, absolutely worth everyone here checking out. It's something I always recommend during my sale videos as well, and my deal videos, so 100% recommend it to people. There's actually a prequel to this as well called Chronos Through the Ashes or Before the Ashes, which is something you guys can check out if you enjoy Remnant and everything it has to offer. This is a mid-tier game. I will say it's not a AAA game. Don't expect Dark Souls, God of War, anything like that. Consider it somewhere in the middle there. It's going to be sitting somewhere like a Surge, a Greedfall, things like that. So if you go into it with the correct expectations, you're gonna have a really good time with it. Trophy-wise, again, it's one of those average mid-tier platinum trophies. I would say it's not easy, it's not hard, and it's gonna take you around 75 or so hours to platinum this game. The game only needs to be played through entirely once, and you can play through on normal difficulty, so worth mentioning for all you completionists and trophy hunters out there. As always, this is a great game. Add this one to your list. The thing that I would say is a bit of a curveball this month is Farpoint, a PlayStation VR title, which I thought Sony had kind of given up on a little bit because they don't talk a ton about PlayStation VR anymore anywhere. They don't release any new PlayStation VR games or updates or anything like that. But then this week, we had this big update about PlayStation VR 2 on the PlayStation blog, and now we see Farpoint coming. Farpoint is one of the better PSVR games, I would say. It has full PlayStation aim controller support, which is the gun peripheral for PlayStation VR, so you can get better immersion from it there, but it does work completely with a DualShock controller as well. Really cool because it has this smorgasbord of stuff in it. It has a really robust single-player story, which actually is very good for a PlayStation VR title. It's got a multiplayer mode with which you can play co-op with Horde and things like that, and it has a competitive multiplayer suite in it too, so it actually does a ton of stuff, and there's a bunch of content in here for what you're getting. Now the game is much better if you use that aim peripheral, but I'm kind of hesitant to recommend people going in and buying it now this late in the PlayStation VR's life cycle. If you own it, you're gonna have a blast with it. If you find it cheaper to GameStop secondhand, then that's a great deal as well, but going out and buying it new at this point I think is probably a bit of a mistake. The game's essentially a first-person shooter. It has a bunch of Mass Effect inspirations, I feel, behind it as well. You're exploring this unknown Mars-like planet, and you're taking out these alien spiders and these aliens as you're progressing through it and uncovering more of the narrative and things like that. It's voice acted really well. The narrative is actually quite compelling, and the game itself I think will take you around 10 or 12 hours to actually complete the entire main campaign of the game. Worth checking out. Trophy-wise though, it's a pretty tough one. It's a hard platinum, and that's for playing through on harder difficulty. That's for making sure you get all the collectibles, playing through multiple times, and then completing the different Horde mode challenges as well. There's also a bunch of DLC content for it, for completing multiplayer content and things like that. So keep in mind that if you're going for trophies, probably not going to be the easiest platinum trophy in the book. Now, the final game is Marquette, and we don't actually know a ton about this game in terms of narrative or anything like that, because it's not actually out. The game itself, though, is a first-person puzzle game, and it reminds me a ton of games like The Witness, which came out really early on in PlayStation 4's life cycle. This game, remember, is coming to both PS4 and PS5, but this version of the game is free for only PlayStation 5. So if you have a PS4, you won't get the PS4 version, you'll just get the PS5 version, which is unfortunate, but kind of good for PS5 owners. The game looks a lot more simple than the previous titles that we've talked about on this list so far. It doesn't look quite as complex, I would say, but as a cool first-person puzzle game, it does look pretty decent, and I am actually quite excited to check this one out myself. I know a few people even in the comment section referenced that they were excited for this game before they even knew it was coming to PlayStation Plus. I'd never heard of it, so I wasn't aware about it. Trophy-wise, we don't know how hard it's going to be at this point, but it is a very silver-heavy trophy list. 14 silver trophies and 6 golds, only 2 bronze trophies. All of them look like they're for completing different parts of the game, so I would say, trophy-wise, it's probably going to be a relatively straightforward platinum trophy. However, I thought the same thing about The Witness as well, because if you have a guide, you can complete the puzzles really easily. That's not necessarily always the case, as in The Witness, they have those randomized puzzles, and that just blows the difficulty out of the water. So this could be a similar situation to that as well. We won't know for a little bit of time yet, probably about a week or so, I would say. Okay, those are the 4 games. I would say overall, a really decent month of PlayStation Plus. I want to start giving these things scores. I want to try and give these a decent number score so we can kind of go back and we can look at how good PlayStation Plus has been. One of the things that I find in the YouTube comment section is people always criticizing PlayStation Plus. And honestly, I think January, February, and March this year have all been very, very good PlayStation Plus months. Man-Eater in January, Control in February, and Final Fantasy in March, I think is tick for me. I think these are very high value games, and they've been great so far. In terms of overall score, I'm going to be critical on this because Final Fantasy is great. I think Remnant is good, and I think that Farpoint is fine, and Marquette I have no idea about. So out of that, I'm probably gonna lean more towards maybe a 7 out of 10 in terms of my overall score for PlayStation Plus for the month of March, heavily skewed by the fact that Final Fantasy is in here, and I think you're getting a massive amount of value for Final Fantasy being in here. Remember guys, always add the PlayStation Plus games to your library. If you have PlayStation Plus, add them to your library and you'll own them forever. If you don't do that and you want to play them later down the track, you can't access these games. So make sure you add them to your library regardless if you're going to play them in March or not. That way you're always protected. But that's my 2 cents on the games this month. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Really curious to get your thoughts on whether or not you think this is a solid month for you guys. I own most of these games too. I own Farpoint, Remnant, and Final Fantasy, so I'm getting no value out of this whatsoever. These games are already purchased by me. I already own the full product, so I'm not getting anything out of this, and I still think it's a fantastic month for a lot of people. So try and be objective with that as well in the comments. That would be really appreciated. But anyway, that is all from me, guys. If you're a new viewer of the channel, hit the subscribe button down below, give a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you gamers all in the next video. Bye for now.